The reason why we are here is the reason why when I started Young Legal Aid Lawyers in 2005 with desperate working mothers being turned away from my office because they weren't eligible was because we all actually really do want to help our clients. And as you know, I represent children in prison, and all of my clients are little catalogues of years and years of unmet legal need. And and lots of those children are in secure training centres, hundreds of thousands of pounds, and actually invaluable detriment to their own lives. So my question is actually about the fundamental basics about legal aid. We've been waiting for Gordon Brown to come up with his great new constitutional review, and it's coming and it's there, but there's absolutely no reference in any of the literature to access to justice, as essential as it is to the rule of law. So if this government is as serious about our constitutional rights and the rule of law as it is about law and order, what are we going to do to ensure access to justice for people who really need it most?
Philip, I'm afraid that comes straight to you.
Yeah, it gives me opportunity to come back to the dig about the House of Lords earlier, to say that I think constitutional reform, rather like legal aid, people don't talk to you about it on the doorsteps, but I do think it's very important in both the modernisation of this country, but also in terms of people's involvement and ownership in our democratic arrangements. And I certainly accept that access to justice is one of the key pillars of any decent society, of any decent democratic society. I also accept that there is a collective need for all of us to champion the cause of legal aid as part of that. It also is something that has to live within the means of the country as well, which is why we are going through the struggles and strains that you're going through at the moment. But I have no hesitation at all, in echoing your point that legal aid is an absolutely critical part of a decent criminal justice system.
But what are you going to do about it?
That's what we're here for, and what this programme is about, and why I'm very keen to move on to the long term through this interim period to a period of sustainability for legal aid.
We constantly hear how this government has taken so many children out of poverty. Coming back to the point that Laura has made, your government has increased the fees for the issue of care proceedings from just under £200 to just under £5,000. I've read the report, and the government says, having spoken to those at the top in the various local authorities, they're quite satisfied they are not driven by costs when deciding whether to issue proceedings. Well, let me tell you, please come with me to court. Hear what social workers say when they know they have to issue another application because a baby's about to be born. Let me tell you, they are driven by costs. And that is all about joined up thinking. So it's not just about legal aid. It's about everything this government is doing. And don't tell the public you're removing children from poverty when you will live to regret that in 5 and 10 years' time, when children who are being physically and sexually abused, and I can give you, and I'm happy to do that privately, many examples where this is happening, and I've witnessed it myself, and I've forced the hands of a local authority to issue proceedings, where proceedings are now not being issued, children will be at risk, and you will have not only conscience, you will have blood on your hands, and I feel very strongly about that too.
Very quickly bring proceedings to an end. A quick answer from
one very quick word. You mentioned, Philip, ownership of a democratic process. The public will feel, in your words, ownership of a democratic process. Well, I have one piece of advice. Listen to what people are saying. That's what ownership is all about.
Yeah.
Ignore them, listen.
Philip, did you want to say?
Yeah, of course. That's what governments are for, to listen. In the end, though, they have to make decisions, and sometimes they have to make tough decisions. And what's happened in legal aid has been very tough for everybody. As far as blood on my hands is concerned, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect local authorities to do their statutory duty. Now, it's our job. Well, no, it is their statutory duty. Our job
our challenge is to make sure they discharge it.
Minister, they're not doing
Yes,
it.
well
and I'll
then
give
that
you
is
evidence.
our challenge to make sure they do it.
You're preparing
But I mean-
for children to die in the process.
What's been
Right,
missing?
can
What's
I-
been missing from the
I had a
debate?
big-
What's been missing from the debate this evening has been any questioning, really, of why it's 2 billion and no more. We play the Treasury off against the Ministry of Justice, against the profession, against the client. And somebody talked about the need for a champion for citizens who have need for access to justice. And what I think we don't know, and we still don't know, is the cost in terms of social exclusion, in terms of greater government expenditure further down the line, which is what Laura's question alludes to, of unmet legal need. And it seems to me, when I'm looking around for who is the champion of citizens in terms of justice, I look to the Ministry of Justice and I look to the Legal Services Commission, and I don't think you've done enough to explore the costs of unmet legal needs so that you can strengthen your arguments when you go back to the Treasury, when you go back to your Cabinet colleagues and say, this is not a detriment to your budgets, it's a saving to your budgets. Budgets in terms of policing, prisons, health, and all of the other areas that we've been talking to. And that, I think, has been missing from the debate for a long time because it's difficult. It's difficult, and we tend to pass the buck as to who should be doing that. But I think the buck stops with the Minister and with the Chief Executive.
Carolyn, I'll let you have the last word.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that is a good point, and only this afternoon we were talking about how we have a closer dialogue with local authorities, many of whom are very involved in all these issues that you've all raised this evening. So I think that is a fair point, and I think we do need to get more into that whole system debate across Whitehall that goes way beyond just the Ministry of Justice. So I agree with Laura's point.
Well, thank you very much, Carolyn. I would venture to suggest that there has been a contrast between this year and last year, that there has been the opening of a dialogue and a preparedness to talk and listen, and hopefully June's very important evidence will find its way to Philip. He feels I feel a receptive. And on your behalf, I would like to thank very warmly everybody for participating, the whole of the panel, and particularly you for being an enthusiastic, emotionally charged, practically charged, and interested audience. Thank you very much.